The end of aging. As a metaphysician and someone who's known for teaching anti-aging principles, as you can imagine, I was so excited to read what National Geographic has to say about the end of aging. This is the latest edition. So I'm going to give you a review of what I think of this National Geographic end of aging. I really could not believe what National Geographic missed and what the scientists missed. I was already triggered in the first paragraph, and I had to keep taking a deep breath so I could finish this very lengthy article and be like, just be open, be open, be open, receive this. Yet in the first paragraph, they're talking about this new medicine, ER100, that this scientist has developed, and you shoot it into your eye for glaucoma. And I'm already from the position of that is not what your eye ever wants. That is so violent towards your eye. And as someone who created an eye exercise course, Eye Revival 1-minute exercises, I know that the eye heals, and never is it mentioned ever in this article about movement of the eyes. Like the course that I produce teaches how when you move your eyes, the eye movement moves the oxygen, moves the blood. So it detoxifies the eyes. It also strengthens the eyes, and this heals the eyes. So whether it's eyesight or glaucoma or any other sort of eye dysfunction or disorder that's developing, doing these eye exercises trains the eye, detoxifies the eye, strengthens the eye, brings oxygen, which is the primary healing nutrient, into the eye, and truly heals and revitalizes the eyes and the eyesight. So when I hear something like billions of dollars being spent, so this is like the billionaire race to biotech, and the biggest thing that they're missing, what nobody is talking about in this article, which is unbelievable, is source energy. That is never accounted for in all of these pages of how billionaires are spending billions to live forever. Never once considering its source energy. That is the fountain of youth. What animates a cell to begin with? Source energy. So the fact that it's never even talked about or thought about in this entire anti-aging article is such a big blind spot. And I just want to say this. So billions of dollars are being spent, okay, in biotech right now. The best biotech on the planet is your body. Your body right now, without any help from outside machinery. Your body is a pharmacy. Your body is the best biotech. But what's incredible about this is that this is what it says. Sinclair is the scientist who has developed this ER100. Sinclair's lab has reported success with this therapy in mice and primates. By the way, I thought Jane Goodall raised awareness and got rid of primate testing. I read her latest book before she died, and there's a picture of a primate in the 90s in a cell, and the energy on this chimpanzee's face is utter depression, utter distraught. And if you've ever been around children in your life, I looked at that picture, you gotta get, I just bumped my mic. You gotta get her last book and read it and see that picture. It looks like a child. The chimpanzee is in a cage where it has to be seated. It doesn't even have room to stand up. And so Jane saw this in the 90s, and she helped eradicate primate lab testing. So I thought, here we are though, that it's shown success in mice and primates. Whoa. But the Glendale trial is the first time ER100 has ever been used in a human. FDA drug approval is divided into separate steps, and the job of the first phase, which will eventually encompass giving a single injection to 12 patients with glaucoma and last up to 5 years, is to show only ER100 does no harm. So they're going through all of this, and the biggest, the objective is to just see that it does no harm. What? Of course, it goes on to say that Sinclair hopes for a better outcome. And then it says, a substance that can undo damage in the optic nerve by reversing its history might be able to reverse damage in any cell by returning it to its earlier state. Cells are dying off and replenishing every day, all day long in your body. It is not necessary. What we want to do is create an environment in the body, electrically, biochemically, with physics, with energy in the body to recreate cells, to regenerate optimally. To take a cell and try to keep it young is not the process of the body. The body builds and dies off, builds and dies off, builds and dies off. And the fountain of youth is found in making sure that the body's in a state of regeneration and renewal. And that comes from physical and metaphysical things. I mean, I teach in my self-healing design course, alkalinity and oxygenation, two things that are the biggest levers in regeneration, in cellular regeneration, and they are not mentioned in this article. Mind-blowing. But not only the physical, but the metaphysical and the source. Source energy animates. And when we connect to source, that's when we're connecting with our fountain of youth. And of course, this article mentions nothing about it. So it talks about, the various billionaires. If I can offer them some insight, they're wasting billions of dollars missing the key component of what regenerates us. And that is source energy. And that cannot be found in a laboratory. So, but of course, it's like, why would they spend billions or millions on experiments where we teach people how to access source, how to align with it? I mean, it's always there, but how to tune into it consciously and revitalize themselves and teach them techniques and see what happens. Well, how is there profit in that, right? Like teaching people how to regenerate. How is there profit in that? Okay, I get that. So let's say billionaires, you want to invest in some biotech that actually reads the body and gives you information so that you can heal the body, so that you don't have to trick the body with these ways. Like this article talks about a scientist who literally believed that regeneration comes from the reproductive organs. So grafted reproductive parts of reproductive tissue from mice into mice that had cancer in other areas to see if it will heal that. In fact, tell me that's not on humans. Tell me that was not part of humans. So this is a very interesting question that we ask as scientists, right? Is the process of aging only at the level of the organism, the tissue, the cell? Is its essence found in the nerves, the blood, the brain, or the glandular? Scientists have tried several theories over the years. One contemporary of Metchnikoff, Sergei Vononov, positioned that youth lay in the reproductive organs. What could be more youthful, after all, than creating life? He grafted thin slices. He grafted thin slices. Let me just get this. Of tissue from the testicles of executed criminals. Oh my God, this was on humans. Okay, so he grafted tissue from the testicles of executed criminals into the testes of rich men. Soon, his procedure was in such high demand that he had to turn to monkeys for tissue. Vononov noted overall improvement on the part of the subjects, more energy, better stamina, sharper minds, and keener eyesight, though modern historians of medicine have concluded that any perceived gain was a placebo effect. The point is like grafting reproductive tissue from criminals into rich men. Like you don't have to do all that. You just have to connect with source. You don't have to do all that. So I think this is interesting. So they're talking about death, right? So before, scientists had assumed that though the body as a system may fail, a cell can live on forever. So this is printed in National Geographic. So I think what they mean is actually the healthy reproduction of a cell can live on forever, because that comment alone sort of discredits this whole thing, because cells die like after a month, after 3 months, like liver cells, like you regrow your entire liver in a matter of 3-4 months. Cells are dying off. So you would ask, okay, well then why would a diseased liver reproduce more diseased cells? Because it's in a diseased environment. That's why we change the environment. We don't focus on the cell. We focus on the environment. And as scientists, we already know this information. And so when I see an article like this in National Geographic, I'm like, what? Like, we already have like this, it feels super passe, although it's positioned as being like super modern biotech, like this new cutting edge. And it's like, no, this is all wrong. So one thing it says here, it says the human experiment begins. To combat aging, scientists are trying to return cells to a younger state. Why would you do that? Where our body needs to have those cells die off and recreate new cells. What we want to do, again, is create the environment where the cells are regenerating optimally. Oh, to finish my thought before, billionaires could also, so I get that, there's no money in just teaching people to connect to their source as well. There's not billions maybe for them or trillions, what they're after. Create machines where, you're feeding frequencies to cells. So taking a diseased cell and turning into a healthy cell via frequency, detoxifying the body via frequency. Like if people find it too difficult to sweat and exercise and move to detoxify their body, let's put create the new Rife machine. Like there's no reason in today's world where we're educated, we have access to education, like all kinds of education at our fingertips, why the Rife machine should still be illegal. Like that's clearly propaganda. That's clearly corruption. Somebody needs to create a new Rife machine. Also, there should be a biotech. This is what I'm going to call biotech, where you stand on a machine and it reads your oxygen level in every cell of your body. So we can see, oh, you got low oxygen in your kidneys. You have low oxygen in your liver. You have low oxygen in your lungs, because oxygen is the primary healing nutrient. And we can bring more oxygen into our body in many, many ways that are free. So, and then the billionaire says, well, great, I can sell you a device, but how am I going to make money from you every single month? Because that's the mindset. The mindset that makes great business is not necessarily the mindset or the framework that's going to bring health and vitality and have people really understanding their fountain of youth and living healthy lives. And by the way, this article also mentions living to 1,000. I don't think it's about living to 1,000. I think it's about however long you want to live, 150 years, whatever it is that you live it with health and agility, that you feel sexy, that you feel spry. I think there's a reason why our lifespans aren't 1,000 years. Maybe, I don't know. If life was 1,000 years, there would be so much for us to accomplish in our life we would be completely redefining what human life is, because no longer, would we just have jobs and work the way that we do? No one would want to be here for 1,000 years. It would be boring AF. So yeah, great. Let's live to 1,000 years if we know how to align with source and create magic and create expansion and create the next wonderful thing and truly live in enjoyment. If we could live in enjoyment, sure, why wouldn't we want to be around for 1,000 years living in enjoyment? Living in enjoyment truly creates the biochemistry that helps the cells regenerate optimally. So that really is the key, is to always be living in enjoyment, and that helps you align with source, the source that animates everything and really is the fountain of youth. What else do I want to say about this article? Oh, the infusion of young blood. So this is another thing that they're doing, where it's like they're going to take young blood and infuse it, put it into an older person's body, and then you feel young again. Here's the thing, friends. Your body's young. Your body is meant to rejuvenate over and over again. You're creating new blood cells every day. Your body is young every day. The reason why people's blood gets old is it gets stagnant because they're not moving. They're eating too much sugar, alcohol, too much heavy food, too much processed food. Another thing, billionaires, please understand this. Spending money in biotech the way that you're doing it is not the best use of money. Really, the best use of money is figuring out how to eliminate the 30% gain in environmental toxins that we've accumulated merely in the last 20 years. And so humans are aging faster because of all of the pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, pharmaceuticals, EMF pollution everywhere. We're aging because of all the junk systems that we have. Let's spend money cleaning up those junk systems rather than trying to manipulate cells to grow back in time. Really? Like, really? What? This is not even how blood works. Like, when I read something like this, I'm like, we make our own young blood. Like, right today, right now, you're making your own young blood right now. And this tries to make you think like you have to spend money and get like a blood transfusion. Also, all of that is so unpleasant. I mean, if you're at a doctor's office plugged in to some machine getting a blood transfusion, that's not pleasant. And we really must understand that the more pleasantness we have in our lives, the naturally healthier and more vibrant we are. When we believe that we have to get poked and prodded and things cut off and things injected, I mean, a shot in your eyeball, really? Something I thought that was interesting is mentioned in this article is a cellular program in gold rush. Right? It's like all the billionaires, what can we create? Biotech, let's live forever. You need to connect to source to understand that. And we also need to know how to detoxify our bodies to understand that. So what's so interesting, so they're talking about aging markers, like what makes you age. It says they range from chronic inflammation. Okay, so chronic inflammation is the first and the biggest aging marker. And what is that a result of? It's a result of a lot of things. It's a result of excess food, sugar, alcohol. It's a result of not moving. It's a result of all of the things that I just said, preservatives, even just mental, emotional stress causes inflammation in the body. So that's the biggest marker of aging. And we already know that. And the solution is as easy as learning how to meditate and learning how to really love yourself. Like really unconditionally, deeply love and respect yourself. And, inflammation literally dissolves off your body. So ranging from inflammation to something called telomere attrition, a process in which the protective caps on the spindles at the ends of the chromosomes shrink with time, causing our DNA to replicate wrongly, which I think is incorrect grammar. Replicate incorrectly, I think it should be. Or to stop, maybe that's wrong. Replicate wrongly or to stop copying itself entirely. We have many physical and non-physical remedies to keep telomere length long. Nobody needs to be injecting anything specific and expensive into their bodies. And also telomere length is attributed to peace. So like we can see that telomere lengthens the more someone meditates and lives from love and, forgives and is connected to their own genius. So they're at peace in their contribution and in their reception of life. So it says, Sinclair said he hoped to see widely available medicines reversing aspects of aging within 20 years. And if we're lucky, we might even see something that does whole body aging restoration. If we're lucky, well, guess what? You're already lucky. You already have access to all of this from your own connection with source energy, with your own connection to the animating energy that animates everything in life, that's animating you right now. And we're not taught to connect to that. We're taught, oh, you're sick, take a pill, cut it out, look outside of yourself. We're never oriented to understand that we have it all already. And so I really hope that you take what I'm saying and apply it to your life and really follow my channel, get to know your self-healing design. And it's the best feeling ever to know, like, you don't have to participate in any of this. You don't have to feel like, oh, if I'm not a millionaire, I'm not going to be able to live healthy and free. It's like, no, you know what? Everything you need is right here, because the biggest point of all of it is right here when it says, if the pill were to succeed in trials, it may make anti-aging medication something you could buy with a prescription at any drugstore. And isn't that the point of all of it? Isn't it that you can just buy a pill and be on a pill forever? And this is what we're celebrating. You know what? You're so much better than that. You're so much better than that. You have access to source energy right here, right now, that heals your body. Okay. What does this say? Okay. So this researcher was testing the properties of various nucleic acids to see if they could be the observer molecule. Well, we're looking for instructions. So they're saying they're using another acid in the body to get information about the body. And it says, well, we're looking for instructions, Sinclair. That's the scientist, he said. How does the cell encode youth? Is it a protein? Is it DNA? Is it something else? He had used AI to go through some 8 billion compounds before getting to this point. He wouldn't say which nucleic acid he was now zeroing in on. It was proprietary information. Whoever controlled the backup would effectively control cell reprogramming, and Sinclair was noted likely to win a Nobel Prize. Control cell reprogramming? Are you serious, National Geographic? Nobody can control our cell reprogramming. And literally, please, the viewers that are listening to this, please take this to heart. If there's organizations that are trying to chip you or control your cell reprogramming, does that sound good to you? You're able to control your own cellular reprogramming with your consciousness, with your diet, with your movement, with your choices, with your energy, with your state of being. And most importantly, by connecting to source energy, that which animates all things and yourself. What else is notable? Oh my God, I love when scientists talk about, and I'm being so facetious right now, talk about junk DNA. Junk DNA? Are you mad? Do we really think that 98% of us is junk? No. No. The nucleic acid came from what is called junk DNA, the 98% of human genome that appears to do nothing. It appears to do nothing because we aren't asking the right questions to know what it does. It appears to do nothing because we're not asking the right questions, so we haven't developed the right instrumentation to measure what it does. Okay, so you know how science and medicine think of the body as like separate parts, like it doesn't all work together, and so they're wondering, of course, how if you can take one cell back, how can we do that with entire organs, which, like I said, the premise of the whole discussion doesn't make sense because you want to just create an environment where a cell can regenerate optimally. That's all we need to do. The cell knows how to regenerate optimally. The cell doesn't have to age. Aging is literally the process of the longer we go without giving our cells what it needs, then they downgrade. You give your cell what it needs and it can keep going. So we don't see that, of course, in our culture because we're bombarded with toxins and pollutants. And we're also bombarded with a consciousness of we get sick and then we die. You're old. Everybody, gosh, I cannot stand. I'm literally not friends with anyone that talks about, oh, well, now my eyes don't go work anymore because I'm after 40 or I have bad knees or I'm just like, no, like you have no clue of your power. Like you're speaking it into form. You think that, you believe that, you're allowing that limitation for yourself. And then that's your experience. Like, don't be surprised, right? Or don't be surprised when you do have achy knees, when you have alcohol every night. Like it's such a toxin in your body. alcohol actually means flesh-eating spirit. Like, what? Like, why are we consuming that every day? Like, of course, your joints are going to start to deteriorate over time when we're feeding our bodies such a high dose of acidic stuff. Yet your doctor never tells you about your pH, about having, too much acidity and not enough alkalinity. That's never talked about. And that's the biggest factor in your cellular regeneration. And that's not even mentioned in this article. But wait, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about in this article. Oh, wait, what was it? Oh yeah, here. Okay. So, trying to go back and take what they're doing from a cell and then applying that to an organ, okay, is what they're talking about here. So it says, the spillover effect from an attempt to reprogram a large organ like a heart could easily overwhelm neighboring cells and relatively straightforward grow a new liver, kidney, or heart from the patient's own cells and swap out the old one. Oh, okay. So unlike a donor organ, it's a perfect match. Research groups are pushing the frontiers of organ replacement through both lab-grown organs and genetically engineered pigs. Okay. Let me start by saying this, okay? Research groups are pushing the frontiers of organ replacement through both lab-grown organs and genetically engineered pigs, typically for people with acute disease rather than for general life extension. The first pig heart recipient lived for 2 months. Yeah, you just got a pig heart put into you. Okay, one Bay Area CEO startup has reportedly pitched investors on growing brainless human clones gestated by paid surrogates to serve as spare part banks or eventually as replacement bodies you could simply pop your brain into. Okay, I'm definitely all for advancement, and I'm definitely all for helping someone who's sick. Like if someone is waiting for an organ and they're on a donor list for 10 years or something, and like I can see why this may be helpful, of course, but why don't we just teach that person how to regenerate their own organ? Why, instead of making that person believe that they have a sick organ and that we have to cut out their organ and we have to put a pig's organ in, or they have to get an organ from somebody that just died? Why not teach them, like, we can revitalize your organ. You can regenerate your organ. Why aren't we teaching people that? And why is there no emphasis on that? Instead, we've got billionaires investing in brainless human drones so that we can swap out body parts instead of, say, fixing like the pollution issues and so we don't get sick anymore. What? Billionaires. Let me save you billions of dollars. This biotech stuff is missing source energy. And source energy is not something that you're going to be able to patent and sell. And so probably spend your money contributing to something that actually helps humans understand their own power and their own self-healing design. Maybe that's contributing to my channel. Maybe that's listening to my work and understanding your self-healing design, because when you align with source, the body regenerates. Aligning with source is the biggest missing piece. It's like scientists are looking in cells. They're looking for all of this stuff, but you can't see the animated source. And if you're not asking the right questions, you're not going to see the right results. So I leave you with this. Friends, whatever ailment you might be dealing with today, if it's like your knee is sore, your neck is sore, your hip is out of whack, your back hurts, you have an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease, why is your body fighting itself? There used to be like 2 autoimmune diseases. Now there's like 150 because we have so many more pollutants in the environment, because we just keep finding new ways to name cellular degeneration. And the solution is always the same. It's know yourself as source, and you can regenerate anything. It's love yourself enough to eat alkaline foods. You don't have to eat all alkaline foods, but if you really want to heal, your pH matters, and, you should really try to eat at least 75 to 85% alkaline foods. That means fruits and vegetables. The next 25, 30%, eat your protein and eat your carb, eat your healthy fat. You want to get proteins, carbs, healthy fats in every meal, but make sure that 70 to 80% of that is alkaline for the right pH of cellular regeneration. Not mentioned at all in this article. Oxygenation, make sure you're taking deep breaths, long, deep breaths. Oxygenate, oxygenate, oxygenate. When you oxygenate, think about the oxygen reaching the blood in your toes, the blood in your nose, the blood at the end of your fingers, the blood deep in your tissues, the blood deep in your organs. Take time every day to truly, consciously connect with source energy. Maybe you're like, what does that mean? Well, in your stillness, ask. Say, I'm connecting to source energy, and see if you can feel tingles in your spine. See if something wakes up inside of you. Start the relationship between you and source energy, because source energy is your fountain of youth. In addition, of course, to alkalinity, oxygenation, self-love, and all the great principles that I teach in the Self-Healing Design course. But understanding your alignment with source, that's the $1 billion information that even the billionaires don't seem to know. I hope that helps out. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.